Hi everyone.
Hi, Srujan. Good morning.
Hello, ma'am. Good
I'm
morning.
Hi, sir.
Jayashree.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us in the odd hours for you. Yeah.
No, it's all
So,
good. It's all good.
what is the
It's
difference? What
early in
is
the
the
morning.
difference of hours?
4.5 hours.
4.5 hours.
In winter.
4.5 hours early, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So the students have joined and they were waiting. We have a bunch of BBA, MBA all students. Ram Rakshit, can you go on mute, please? Okay, so let me continue the session, and the students are yet to join. And Shreya, are we good to go?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we can start off.
Yeah, so we are honored to welcome you, who has walked the same building here where the students are walking now. And thank you. And you're making a significant impact in the corporate sector. And you're a proud graduate. I think you have done BBA as well as MBA from the same college. And since then, you have built a very impressive career. I was going through your profile, and you are the global CRM lead at Uber Netherlands right now. Thank you for joining us. And this session is going to be 20-25 minutes of you can talk about your journey and how you have shaped your career after, I mean, a little bit about your stay in PES, and then later on how you have shaped your career after that. And the young graduates, undergraduates, and the postgraduate students would like to know about your journey and how to shape their career also. And that is it. So, may I request Shreya to continue the session with the formal introduction?
Yes, ma'am. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Hello, sir. Hearty welcome to you on the first go. So, I would like to brief a little bit about your journey till now. So basically, we all know that success is not just about dreaming big, but about the relentless effort to turn those dreams into reality. And the sheer dedication and hard work behind bringing that dream to reality is exactly what we are trying to understand by conversing with our esteemed guest for today, Mr. Srujan Vishwanath. Starting with his educational foundation, Srujan is a BBA graduate from PES University and further pursued his MBA in marketing from the same institution, graduating in 2013. His career began as a lead generation analyst with Adhika Networks, a role he secured through campus placements at PES University. Since then, Srujan has built an impressive career in brand and marketing automation across diverse tech and agency brands, including Adhika Networks, FireEye, and Uber. Currently, he serves as the global CRM lead for self serve business at Uber's B2B product within the performance marketing organization. Mr. Srujan is responsible for managing CRM functions for a $500 million GB unit of Uber, focusing on accelerating growth, creating new business, and maintaining strong customer retention. Beyond his personal achievements, Srujan's career has taken time across the globe. He has lived and worked in India, Australia, the US, and now joins us from Amsterdam, Netherlands, which has been his home for the past 7 years. As we listen to Mr. Srujan's journey and engage in this insightful conversation, we hope his journey serves as a beacon of inspiration for those navigating their own career paths, fostering innovation and establishing meaningful connections in the professional world. Once again, I would like to extend a hearty welcome to you, sir. We are extremely looking forward to the session, and we really look forward to the wealth of knowledge that you would be sharing with us today. Thank you for joining us, and a hearty welcome to you, sir.
Absolutely. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for the lovely formal and informal introduction to both of you. Um, Whenever someone asks me, um, why did you do both your bachelor's and master's in PS, I just say, I like the college so nice, I did it twice. But in fact, that's the truth because the 3 years where I spent my time in PS were my absolute formative years. The opportunities I got and the exposure I got was unparalleled. So yeah, my next best option was to continue my education there after 3 years of BBM. I think back then it was called BBM. I think now it's BBA. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then I did 2 years of MBA pretty much in the same building, which was the Tech Park building. So yeah, a lot of great memories there with my teachers, with my fellow students, and yeah. So yeah, this is indeed a great opportunity for me to appear and talk to the current generation. And more than anything, at the end of this session, I'm hoping to learn more from all of you folks and where your mindsets are and where your visions are, than me trying to tell you folks anything. Because I know a bunch of people in this group who have already done some really good and impressive work, which itself is a starting point for even someone like me. So yeah, this is a great opportunity. Um, yeah, I can start off by talking a bit about my journey soon after my days in PES, and then move on to talk about um, career progressions and career deviations. And more importantly, I would like to reserve quite a bit of time to hear from you folks to try and understand what are some of the challenges you are facing, or what are some of the questions you have. So I'd like to spend my time there in helping you guys out as well. Are we good with the format, ma'am, in terms of how we are approaching this?
Yes, absolutely. We are looking for the same format only.
Amazing, cool. Yeah, so soon after my BBM MBA days, I was fortunate enough to be exposed to a very healthy campus recruitment situation back then, where we had a bunch of companies come over. Even before I finished my MBA graduation, I got the opportunity to do internships during my second and third semesters in some really nice companies. I started off in advertising in a company called Triton Communications. It was nothing too fancy, but I got exposed to a very unique couple of months. I was part of an ad campaign where they were shooting ads for, I think, a coconut oil. So that was basically my first taste of corporate world. Soon after which, my second internship was with a company called Ayuja Technologies. And Ayuja Technologies, where the white corporate, as you can say it, was where I was exposed to marketing, sales, and lead generation. I kid you not, this was a night shift internship. So for me, it was an overnight shift in terms of how to adapt and how to understand the market and how to understand the sales world. Um, the one key takeaway for me from this internship was how to face rejection. I think that is absolutely critical for every single person in this group to try and move forward in terms of how to face rejection. We all live in a very competitive world. I'm sure everyone knows that. So I don't dig too much deep into it. But the way to bounce back, and a healthy way to bounce back, that job taught me. So um, rejection is something which you will come across more often than not in a sales job. And Ayuja Technologies, I would say, gave me that opportunity. So soon after I graduated, again, I was fortunate enough to get a job offer from my company, Ayuja Technologies, where I did my internship. But I also got a job opportunity through campus recruitment from Aryaka Networks. Fun fact is, both Aryaka Networks and Ayuja Networks were owned by the same person. Um, he's no more anymore, unfortunately, but it's both the companies are based out of the US, and within Aryaka Networks, there was a better working environment, better challenges, So I opted for Aryaka Networks, where I worked as a lead generation executive to start off. Um, it might sound super fancy, but it actually is not. All the company wanted me to do was try and reach out to organizations and global companies and do lead generation activities where we virtually knock on doors and try to explain WAN optimization, which is a networking parameter to companies to try and connect their global teams and global offices. So essentially, what we are doing right now through tools like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, the back end of it is the software which Aryaka Networks used to build, and then we used to basically sell it. So that also was a sales job. Post which I definitely got to learn a lot there. So as I said, the first initial few years were absolutely phenomenal for me in terms of learning. The curve is very, very steep, but very fun. Post which I got a taste to marketing automation. Marketing automation, for those of you who don't know, is essentially a way to reach a very wide base of audience through digital formats. Could be emails, could be in-app surfaces, pretty much whatever you see as soon as you pick up a phone from various apps which you download, is marketing automation. So imagine you get a notification at 7:30 in the morning saying, "Hey, order your breakfast with Swiggy." That's a push notification. It's not a coincidence that you're getting it at 7:30 a.m. Whereas someone who you know might get it at 8:15 a.m. So there is a lot of behavioral patterns, spending patterns, and consumption patterns taken into effect to build into a very huge learning data center within each organizations, and using that information and tailoring the communications and tailoring the channels is what marketing automation essentially is. So soon after my time at Aryaka Networks, I got an opportunity to test my waters at FireEye, which is now acquired by Google. So FireEye, I spent about 2 years of time working as a marketing automation specialist. Absolutely phenomenal team there. It was a young team. I would say, the third employee in the marketing automation domain for the entire company, and right now they are a huge team of 47 people. Um, so yeah, I spent 2 years there. It was a cybersecurity company, so I got to learn a lot more about how the technology works, how the market works in terms of the dynamics of marketing automation and cybersecurity adoption. And post which, I spent a brief amount of time in GE Healthcare. GE Healthcare was a much more red tape based organization because it's a very huge organization, has multiple business units, and all of this leading up until GE Healthcare was my career in Bangalore. And then I took a very bold step of applying for job opportunities outside of India. Again, this is not a foreign aspect to anyone in this group, but being able to get a job outside of India when you haven't really studied there or when you don't have any connections is almost next to impossible. But I wanted to test the waters. This was, I think, 2015, 2016. Yeah, 2016, I remember, where I started sending out a bunch of LinkedIn messages. That's pretty much what I did. I identified companies, I identified where marketing automation was going to scale up. I tried to understand the market as much as I could, and I started sending out LinkedIn invites. There was no concept of in-mail back then. There was basically a concept of connect where you could essentially click on their profile, reach out to them, no limits as such. And then if they accept, they accept. So I did that, and again, rejection, right? Like, it's not like a movie where, wow, overnight you get the opportunity and you fly over there. Absolutely not. There was a bunch of rejection. I tried this for about 4 to 6 months, and soon after 6 months, um, a company who I'd reached out to in the first month were interested in talking to me. I found this very, very motivational, if anything. So I took that as an opportunity, had a conversation with them, and then I basically got the opportunity to move to Sydney in a marketing agency called Holler. They were into advertising space. So my first initial years of working at Triton Communications as an advertising associate helped me quite a bit. But then the domain was marketing automation. So yeah, I spent I think about a year and a half at Holler, Australia, as a CRM manager, and that's where my first responsibility as people manager and process manager came into effect. Post which I moved to Melbourne. There I worked as a CRM associate again at an agency called AKQA. Look it up. It's a really, really big advertising agency. And I got to work with a bunch of clients there. Officeworks being one of them. It's basically Australia's biggest retailer. They have tons and tons of products. Their website's amazing. So we got to do a lot of marketing automation there, customer optimization, identifying behavioral patterns, and trying to come up with email campaigns and push message notifications and all of that. So this was the agency side of my career where I got to spend and understand how the client agency relationship works. For those of you who don't know, client agent relationship is something where you are offloading a lot of your day to day work to an agency because the agency brings in the expertise. The client, who is the primary company here, brings in the strategy. So you get to work and execute on a lot of projects, but you don't get to have a say in all of it. Like, for example, if you observe a spending pattern of, say, 2.5 million a month, and you see an opportunity to optimize, you really can't do anything with that data point because the client has already made a big commitment in terms of how their year-end strategy works, and they just want the agency to execute it, which is really good. Don't get me wrong, right? Because you get to learn a lot from execution. You get to understand the intricacies of how the tools work, but it's an opportunity where you can't really spread your strategic wings quite a bit. So that's when I decided to switch my careers and try to again knock at doors. Remember how I reached out to folks via LinkedIn? I did the same thing, but this time I did it in person. So I started attending in-person events in Australia. Reached out to fellow marketers, basically, asked me to be included in any off-work events to try and network as much as possible. And in one of those networking events is where I met my now ex-boss, then future boss, who was discussing quite a lot of marketing automation challenges and just wanted some inputs and insights. We started talking, and it turns out he was a marketing manager back then at Uber. He was interested in me. He wanted me to join his team and then offered me a role. But then he said, you'd have to move. Australia is not where we have our bases, but we'd want you to move. And that's when I took the decision to move again overseas to the Netherlands. And with Netherlands, I've been in Netherlands. I've been for the last 7 years or so, leading all things CRM. So right now, I do the strategy work, I do the localization work, email marketing, and in-app messages. Pretty much when you open the Uber for Business website on your phones or on your laptops, and you start your customer journey because the product is pretty much open to anyone. You can start your journey as becoming a U4B customer. Any single message which comes out of that experience of yours, be it in your phone or in your laptops or on your desktops, comes from the desks of my team. So pretty much all the works which involves the dashboard notifications, product efficiencies, comes from the great work my team does. So yeah, essentially that's been my career so far. From a marketing automation standpoint, I would say it's It's a very, very nascent and young field to be in, although it feels like I've spent an eternity in there. Because as all these various AI tools come in, marketing automation will only get better, right? Like imagine you opening your app, could be anything which you use on a frequent basis, and the personalization gets more and more better using AI. That's just the starting point for many other bigger opportunities. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's how my journey has been, and that's where my destiny has led me to.
That's a great journey you have shared. And I think, a lot of valuable lessons to learn from you. Maybe I would like to hear from you a little more through some question answers and conversation from the students. So, students, if you can raise your hands and then maybe one by one, whatever questions you have, we will take it ahead. By the time students raise their hand, I have few questions. Like one is, how did your education at our university prepare you for the current role?
Absolutely, yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of my then HOD, Dr. Venugopal Naidu sir. He was an amazing mentor. He always believed in looking at students and giving us opportunities, not just within the classrooms, but outside of classrooms as well. He always encouraged us to try and ask the questions which not many people would ask, but at the same time, ask them in a way which would be applicable to the majority of the audience. There were a lot of opportunities for us to attend fests. There were a lot of opportunities for us to do a lot of internal presentations. We had something called Nidhi Dhyasana, which was an internal, I think, every fortnightly presentation challenge. So students would form groups and try and come up with presentations on various topics, including finance, marketing, international business, and whatnot, and try to present their topics of choice. And this was a full-fledged competition. This gave an amazing opportunity for a lot of students to explore topics of their choice. This was, again, strictly academical, nothing like you can start talking about WWE, but it was a lot of value addition. Um, Stage fear, public speaking, talking about complex concepts, and exploring areas where you previously felt like you had a little bit of interest but never got the opportunity, were the things which were covered in such sessions. So yeah, platforms like this definitely helped me and many people in my batch to try and come out of our shells and explore, use which which I even use even for today, right? So things like that keep coming in terms of challenges, and the tools which I was able to get during my BBM and MBA days helped me navigate even till date.
That's great. Yeah, so we have few hands raised. Let me give it to the students to ask questions. Vikas, you can ask the question now.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, sir. My name is Vikas.
Hi,
Uh,
Vikas.
So Vikas, we would like to see you also if possible.
okay, ma'am. Just a minute.
Otherwise, it will be like whom we are speaking to, some ghost. That's fine. You don't have to get ready.
I'm not.
Okay, ask your question.
Uh, am I visible?
Not yet, but it's okay. You
Not
go
yet.
on. Yeah. Yes, Vikas.
Ma'am, my question is that now, as of now, even I run a company right now. We started this niche in marketing. So I and Nikhil, one of my friend, started this company where our niche is to advertise manufacturing companies. We have already advertised around 3 clients as of now. So, what's your opinion on AI as of now? I've gone through your profile right now. You said that AI can be a very good B2B uh, personalization advertisement in advertisement. So, what's your opinion? If we use AI in our advertising niche, can it be helpful?
The short answer is yes. Um, the long format answer to that is bringing in personalization at various levels of customer experience and interactions will definitely lead for greater conversion. Now, I'm not entirely sure of the details of how you're executing on your advertising of your company. It's great to hear that you're already into it with sounds like your partner in crime. Using AI would definitely increase the impression rate, conversion rate, and fallback on your website or basically your advertisement. The how depends on how much data you're able to gather of that of the customers and of that of your prospects. Um, so being able to gather data would, I would say, is the key point to make the effective use of your advertisement. Imagine a banner showing up which has a generic image of, say, some manufacturing tools, and then you are expecting interaction from your potential customer. But then using AI, you are able to gather a lot of information about that customer and then show a very specific manufacturing tool within that banner. That itself will create a lot of conversions, which will lead to more and more interactions. So yeah, it all depends on how much data you're able to gather and what sources you're getting it from, and then using AI to make it more personalized.
So for that, what we do is we give around 1 week of research. So as soon as we accept a client, we give around 1 week of collecting data. We do a proper research using SEO tools about their websites, their previous actions, what are their faults, how are they performing, and based on that we create content and then advertise it.
Yeah, that's great. Um, I would definitely use the build of an AI agent because it sounds like there is a lot of redundant activities which are being conducted.
Okay.
So the week's worth of time which you are spending doing customer research, you can build an AI agent by yourself and given a lot of inputs to that agent, which can then run through a bunch of websites and gather all that information to you and present it. So there is definitely scope for improvement in terms of customer research, especially if it is digital in nature. An AI agent, a really strong one, would help you gather all that information and put it in front of you so that you're able to take more informed decisions, thereby cutting short your week by probably a few days.
Thank you, sir. Can you suggest any AI which can do this presently?
Right now, I would say ChatGPT is at the forefront, but
Okay.
being able to build an AI agent still requires human effort. You just can't have a prompt engineer write, hey, give me a AI agent for pulling data from this 10 websites. That's not how it works at the moment. You would need an AI agent built by a human at the end of the day, where you know someone who is proficient in Python and try and use that to build an AI agent, probably build a project within ChatGPT and then run that project using the script, thereby that will show you the information you need.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your inputs.
Vikas, which department you are from?
BBA, ma'am.
Okay, great. Great to know that our BBA students are already into some business. Okay, next question, Varsha.
Hello, sir. Good morning. I'm Varsha, second year BBA student, marketing specialization, and I'm also a founder of Wow Gifts. So, I really wanted to know how do you balance customer acquisition and retention in a fast moving global company like Uber? Like when you
Absolutely.
were in.
Yeah, that's a great question, Varsha. And acquisition versus retention is an ongoing problem for companies of all shapes and sizes. Um, it's very difficult to retain a customer. Like once someone buys a product from you, it is even more difficult to acquire a new one because you don't have a starting point. At least with the customer who you've already dealt with, you know they've dealt with your product, you know they've dealt with your service. There is something they like, there is something they don't like. But with acquisition, it's even more difficult. So company like Uber spends close to 75% of our budget on acquisition, and on retention we
70.
spend the remaining 25%.
Which budget are you talking about basically when you said the split of 75% and 25% of marketing budget?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
imagine your company, Wow Gifts.
Yes,
You have say $100 million, right? You
definitely.
have the complete authority to spend it pretty much on anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
if
Yeah.
if I were you, on
Yeah.
acquisition is where I would spend $75 million, or on acquisition efforts, and on retention efforts is where I would spend $25 million. And what this would specifically mean is, on the acquisition front, I would spend on lead generation, digital advertising, online efforts, influencer marketing, and various other sources where I'm able to bring my product to the surface as much as possible, right? Like with $75 million, the first thing I would do is pick up my phone, try and reach out to contacts and say, hey, WPL and IPL is ongoing and coming up right now. Is there a way I can showcase my product on the jerseys of players? That's an effort to acquire more and more customers, right?
Yes.
Whereas with retention, I spend the remaining 25 million to try and keep my existing customers happy and build a more loyal brand. So, affiliate marketing, helping them connect, find more customers from my existing customers, like a referral life cycle, is where I would spend the remaining 25 million to try and bring in more and more customers and retain them.
And from the non-business point of view, just for the sense of showing gratitude, do something extra for the retention of the previous customer, that hey, you have bought, you have tried our experience before, so would you like to, this is our new launch, something like that, is that a good option to go with?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Uber, we do something called fifth trip celebration. So what this means is, for every 5 trips an existing customer takes, there is a
Mm-hmm.
promo which gets created automatically and gets applied to the customer, where they get 20% off on their sixth trip. So this is called the fifth trip celebration. And this is a way where we are retaining our existing customers and also giving them a little bit of incentive to continue to stay on our platform, thereby creating a bit of savings on their end and making sure that the product is still viable for us from a financial standpoint. So this is an ongoing automation which we've built, and pretty much everyone who's exposed to, say, that sixth trip which they take will get a 20% off in the back end.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And one more curious question I had was, what kept you, I've seen so many people changing fields from marketing to HR to, even they go into science fields and everything else. Science fields come to management. What kept you motivated to, start from BBA, MBA, everything in marketing? Then you did marketing automations, customer relations, everything is under marketing. So is that your personality which helped you, like, stick to it, or how?
Yeah,
Very curious
I would
to know.
say I would say I just love talking to people, right? Like if you ask my wife, she gets bored of me because I talk so much. So for me, talking to people is something which I've enjoyed right from get go. And the way I look at it is, how can I make money by talking to people? That's pretty much it. And marketing is one space where I'm able to talk to more and more interesting people on a daily basis, learn more from them. And if I'm able to make money out of it, that's a great benefit.
Pretty much of my personality. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. All the best with your company.
I request all of you to ask just one question. We have to finish it off. Maybe you can all connect later on LinkedIn and ask a lot of questions later on. Yes, Vaishnavi, you can ask your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, sir. My name is Vaishnavi. I'm from the EC campus of the BBA program. I'm in my second sem right now. Since I've just joined the university like last sem, it's been only 6 months, but I would like to know how your time at our university actually shaped your career in marketing and brand management.
Yeah, absolutely. What I can add in this regard is my first year. I'm just trying to go back during my first year of BBM. When I started off, I made a vow to myself that I would not deviate from my studies. The first 3 months, I was basically hyper focused on what are my subjects, how do I go about it, and how do I get the best marks. Um, I'll tell you a reason at the end of this session as to why I did think that way. But I soon after the first 3 to 4 months, I realized that, especially in management-based subjects or management-based degrees, which I think you guys are all in, just focusing on subjects and trying to get the highest marks is half the game. I'm not saying you shouldn't, you should. You should definitely focus on your subjects and get the best marks possible, but that's half the game. The remaining half of the game is to try and understand what the business needs of the existing um, market is and try and shape your career that way. Now, I'm sure all of you in case studies and whatnot read about the recession in 2008. That was pretty much it when I joined BBM. Like that was the doorstep towards my management career. So imagine the motivation levels of joining a management course and hearing that you guys wouldn't have jobs by the time you graduate, right? So the time I graduated BBM was 2011. And when 2008 started, pretty much everyone I met told all of us that, oh, it's a dud field you guys are in. So it took us a very, very big hit on our motivation levels. But what kept us going was the curiosity which we all had about what we had chosen. Pretty much, we stepped out of, or at least I'll talk for myself, I stepped out of a very heavy science background with physics, maths, biology, and whatnot. So this whole field felt very, very new to me and very, very challenging. So that's where the first 6 to 8 months helped me because I very quickly realized that I need to focus on soft skills and I need to focus on improving myself in equipping to understand the existing markets better, existing companies better. What is it that they need? How do the teams function? And what is it that I can do to get myself ahead of the market? So that's when I started talking to a lot of lecturers who had a mix of corporate and teaching experience, who guided me quite a bit in terms of how to navigate the remaining 2.5, 3 years of my journey. And then came the added opportunities, which I mentioned earlier through our HOD in terms of presentations and whatnot. So I think it was a various combinations of all of this, but intrinsically, I would say it's curiosity. Like, what would happen if I do this? Is where it led me where I am today. So I would say being curious about whatever it is, be it something which interests you or not, just will keep you pushing forward.
Right.
I
Thank you
hope
so much,
that
sir.
answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you, sir. And thank you for today's session as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, can we have Jia Jain?
Uh, Good morning, ma'am. My name is Jia. I'm from first year psychology. My question is, what does your day-to-day role as a global CMR leader for Uber's B2B product involve?
Absolutely, yeah. That's a really good question. My day starts off with essentially reviewing our plan against action, which is basically a very interesting graph where we look at our budgets and how much we have spent the past week and how are we aggregating towards achieving our goals. What this essentially means is we've spent, say, 10 million on a particular ad campaign. How much of leads is it generating? Is it healthy enough? And should we continue to spend more on this particular platform? Is the decisions which will help, which that graph will help me take. The second thing which I do is essentially look at the strategies which my team have built from an email marketing standpoint and in-app marketing standpoint and try to understand if that still has a product market fit. So one of my team members would come to my desk and say, hey, we have this multi touch point onboarding email campaign, which has about 10 to 12 emails and 3 to 4 push messages and 2 to 3 SMS messages, reviewing those strategies and trying to help them get the best out of their efforts takes up a pretty big chunk of my time. The third thing I would do is liaise with a lot of product and product marketing teams because that's where the main fun happens, right? Like they come up with a lot of innovative product updates. They make changes in terms of the customer onboarding and customer offboarding experience. So trying to understand and staying on top of this is majority of my time at Uber because whatever changes product makes gets reflected within marketing and marketing strategies are strictly determined by the changes made in product. So staying on top of this on a daily basis is pretty much what I do and translate that into marketing efforts and more specifically marketing automation efforts takes up a big chunk of my time.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, Ashish Ajmera.
Hello. Yeah. Good morning, sir. Good morning, mom.
Morning.
Sir, my family background is business, and I love to join business. And till now, I got like good feedback that I'm a good salesperson. Also, like I when my during holidays, I joined my business there. So my question is, should I join my business like doing BBA with, or should I complete BBA and after that should I join my business?
Sorry, say the question again. Are you asking should you join your business after
Yeah,
BBA?
Like
What was
so
that?
he is from family business background. So he is again, he doesn't have an idea whether to continue his post graduation and do some courses and then continue with his career, or is he? I mean, can he join the family business? Is that your question, Ashish?
yeah, yes, ma'am.
Uh, I also come from a business background. My father runs a business. Um, so the question you're asking is very close to my heart because I had the same question when I was graduating from BBM. Um, the way I approached it was to finish off my graduation because that will effectively give me a lot more opportunities outside my family business as well. Because with family business, the way it works is you have a lot of support around you, I'm assuming, with your immediate parents and probably with your immediate family members who have already done it for a while and give you a lot of inputs. But the way I would look at it is you bring in the freshness, you bring in the newness, and you bring in that additional added perspective from an educational background with a more relevant experience, which is ongoing. So a combination of this would essentially lead towards more success. So my recommendation would be to complete your graduation. And if you are still interested in joining your business and then join because you would then bring in a very new perspective. And hopefully with that perspective, the business grows. So I would always say, finish your graduation, get your certificate, join your business, but that shouldn't stop you from already being interactive with your existing business.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Yeah, that was a good answer. I hope, Ashish, now what are you supposed to do? You know, right?
Yes.
Okay. Prithvi.
Good morning, sir. My name is Prithvi. I'm
Morning.
from psychology department. I'm doing my master's. I had a question. So, what strategies do you use to accelerate growth and improve customer retention at Uber?
Customer retention, I think I answered it, which is the fifth trip celebration. That's one of the many efforts which we do. We also do what is called as a loyalty experience. A loyalty experience is where we look at audiences who have taken very key trips. Key trips include trips to and from the airport. Trips include, we call what is called the geo locks. So imagine you take a trip from your place of residence towards hotspot centers like MG Road, Brigade Road, Commercial Street, or whatnot. Within the Uber ecosystem, these locations are geo-locked, which means anyone who takes a trip to or from these locations are looked at premium customers. And we understand that these people are the ones who are bringing in the maximum amount of revenue. Um, People who do this or show this behavior more and more frequently are the ones who have the highest potential for retention. Imagine if someone's ramping up on Uber or in more easier terms, just downloaded the Uber app and taken a trip, it's very hard to retain them. Whereas if I already have the information that someone's taken multiple airport trips, someone's taken multiple geolock trips, it's more easier for me to retain them because I know already about their behavior. So what we try and do is build a loyalty around them. If you open your Uber apps, you can already see that there is a unique personal link for all of you to try and share it and build more and more customers through that particular approach. We also put what is called as the Bogov strategy. Bogov strategy, no brownie points for guessing, is buy one, get one free. It's time-tested strategy where many retailers use it and many digital platforms also use it. So for every 3 trips you take, your fourth trip would be free. So there is a bunch of automations and experiments constantly running. Fun fact, at Uber, at any given point of time, there are close to 7,000 experiments running. Be it in terms of to identify customer behavior, customer spending, what helps them convert. There are a bunch of experiments running always. So learning from all of this, taking the information and using it in new and new campaigns is what constantly Uber does.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Danush.
Absolutely.
Hello, sir. It was an honor listening to you. My question is, what skills are essential for someone who's looking to enter marketing automation in any firm right now?
That's a good question. Starting point would be SQL, because SQL was not a required tool when I started, but now more and more companies are using SQL to make sense of their data. So SQL is definitely one starting point, I would say. The second one is experience of using Salesforce. Salesforce is a company which does a lot of CRM, has a lot of CRM products, CRM functions. Um, y- Getting exposure towards Salesforce is something which I would say is unique. Now, there are two ways of getting it. One is if you're lucky enough to get a job within a company which uses Salesforce, you can network yourself within the company to try and expose yourself to using that tool, or you can, as a side gig, explore Salesforce opportunities which are paid in some platforms. to try and expose yourself to picking up courses like admin certification, commerce cloud certification, marketing cloud certification. So this is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is exploring tools like HubSpot, Marketo, and also Adobe Campaign. Now, all of these three products have their own free versions of its software. What this essentially is upload a bunch of information like first name, last name, email address, phone number. You can do it in your own small ecosystem, like how Vikas was trying to do advertising for his company. What you can do is try and get a free subscription to one of these tools and then explore the product around, right? And then launch small email campaigns using these free tools and get into the taste of marketing automation. Another thing I would say for every one of you in this call is to have your own website. Um, that is a great way to, number one, market yourself, and two, to explore marketing automation at a very, very personal level. You can do a lot of data collection through your website of people who are interested in what you do, and then convert that data into a marketing campaign for yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, you are trying to market yourself to get a better job on a consistent basis, and your own personal website helps you do that. So if you want to explore marketing automation, start by doing it with your own website.
Thank you very much, sir. I have a follow-up question, if you don't mind. It's my opinion.
Maybe
Yes, ma'am.
Danush, maybe you
Yes, ma'am.
can, put the question in the LinkedIn. We have 3 more hands and it's
Yes,
almost
yes,
12
sorry.
o'clock.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay. So Trisha, you may go on.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, I'm Trisha from BCom from EC Campus. My question for you is like, what inspired you to pursue MBA in marketing after completing your BBA?
Uh, the honest answer is my understanding at that time was I would get better job opportunities if I have a master's degree. That's my honest answer. I had a bunch of friends soon after BBM who started their own journeys of either getting into their family business or going into the corporate through their own personal connections. But I felt like I would definitely get higher and better opportunities if I also finished my MBA at a stretch. Um, the other thing, which is a more personal reason, which I said I would mention at the end of the call, is I failed my second PUC, which is a very, very big deal, which I'm sure all of you know, which was a huge setback for me. So I felt like personally it would be a disservice to myself if I did not complete my bachelor's and master's, because if I did not get back to my master's soon after my bachelor's, I was afraid that I would not be again interested in formal studies. So I enjoyed my 3 years of BBM thoroughly. So I felt like, okay, with this momentum, let me finish my MBA as well, because I don't know if I'll ever get back. And I saw a bunch of people around me who were slightly more senior than me, who wanted to do MBA, but the corporate world clearly did not allow them to. They were either busy with their 9 to 5 jobs or with their families or with a combination of two of these, right? So many of them wanted to do MBA, but eventually couldn't because of many factors. So I felt like, okay, this is my opportunity to do MBA. And I basically did it at one single stretch. In hindsight, I would say that was a great decision. I wouldn't say it would turn out the same way for everyone because everyone's situation is different at the end of the day. But for me, it definitely did turn out. So yeah, these were my two reasons to finish it at one stretch.
Even my experience has been this. I am in this industry from 20 years, and I have seen students who is going at a stretch, their BBA and then their MBA post graduation. They're able to complete. Once they are into industry, they start making money. Then they maybe, after 5 years, they realize, oh, we could have done a post graduation. And then sometimes it becomes too late. So I think at a stretch is, as you said, yeah, it will also depend upon situations, but I also feel the same. Yeah, thanks for answering that. Unmesha.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. I'm Unmesha from ECT campus, and I'm currently pursuing BBA. And my question to you is, how is your experience working in both agency and client-side roles in contribute to your growth in brand and marketing automation?
Yeah, that's a good question. Within agency, you get to experience a lot of freshness. And the reason is you will have a lot of your colleagues who are working with something which has nothing to do with what you're doing. You can have someone who's sitting on the right side of you who's working on a client who you've never heard of, and they're working on a very different problem. So you can essentially network a lot, tap on their shoulder, and learn more about what you are not essentially into, because an agency setup is set up such a way that they bring more and more clients from diverse backgrounds and diverse problems. And the agency hires a lot of people from diverse backgrounds and puts them all under one roof and says, hey, solve this problem for me and get paid. Whereas on the flip side, on the client side, or at least on the formal company side, when you're working, you get to go more deeper within the problems, because that's the only thing everyone around you is focused on solving for. If an email is not looking great, how is it that we can take it from 0 to 1 and 1 to 100 is what pretty much everyone around you is trying to solve for. So you get to go more deeper within that particular issue, find a solution for that, and once it works, get to celebrate it. So it all depends on the stage of career you are and what you enjoy the most. I would say working on the agency side definitely is a lot more open for networking opportunities, because some of the people who I've connected with during my agency time are still close to me. I know what they're doing and what companies they're working in. So if I'm ever bored of Uber, I can knock on their doors and say, hey, can we join hands? But on the Uber side is where I get a lot of technical knowledge and a lot of in-depth knowledge about the problems which I really care about. So it's a balance of depth of knowledge versus variations of knowledge. It depends on where you are in your career to try and make that call, which suits you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time and the valuable insight. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.
Yeah. So one last question, Rohit.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, sir. This is Rohit. So I wanted to
Hello.
ask you a question. So basically, I'm developing a self-checkout app, and I wanted to understand how CRM systems can help track customer behavior. Do you have any strategies or softwares that I could use?
Softwares, I would say look into Salesforce again. That's definitely an option. It's expensive, but if you are attending certain networking events which Salesforce hosts, I think on a quarterly basis, there is an opportunity for you to grab a free license which they give out and try and use that, because especially when it comes to checkout experience, there is nothing close to what Salesforce does, which is great in the market. The second thing which I would say is abandoned cart experience. This is primary for any business which is into cart management. You definitely need customers coming back into your platform or product who have difficulties in clearing their payment methods, or who have difficulties in any of the steps which are part of your cart experience. We all know we subscribe for a product, and as soon as the payment page comes up, we drop off. We're like, okay, I'm not spending money on this. That's where the Salesforce system comes in place, brings back the customer to the platform through various automation efforts. So look into abandoned cart experience or automation and try to implement it within your system, and that'll definitely give a lot more results.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir. That was actually helpful. I'll actually go through it.
For sure.
Okay. So we have Professor Shruti also who have raised the hand. So maybe one last question. Yes, Shruti.
Hi, Srujan. I don't know if you remember me. We went to school together. Anyways, I'll go ahead with my question. I teach a lot of marketing communication papers, and I'm sure you're involved in a lot of communication strategies globally too, because you're heading the CRM for Uber. So, what is your take on the most important consideration while you develop global strategies, for communication?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for the question, Shruti, and we should definitely connect. I
Yeah,
am unable
definitely.
to put a face against the name, but let's
I
connect offline.
No, that's me.
Um,
I don't know. I don't have a computer today, so I was not able to log in using a computer. You know, so we went
oh,
to
right,
school
right. Yeah,
together. You
now
know
I
me.
recollect. Yeah, really nice to meet you. Small world.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Yeah, I think you can answer the question. We don't want to hold a lot of our students post 12,
Sure,
so we can connect later.
sure.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to Uber, scale is something which is super paramount for us because cultural considerations and localizations are the two key aspects which we take into account when we are looking at global automations. Because a very good example which I can give you is we run a campaign called the Welcome Series. And in this Welcome Series, pretty much everyone who's a new customer at Uber gets to go through an email series. In Arabic countries, as we all know, the language is RTL or right to left. They read from right to left, unlike the non Arabic languages. And we pay very, very close attention to this because things go wrong very quickly, very easily when it comes to handling localizations and also cultural considerations. This is something which we've invested a lot in. Using the right terms and the right terminologies in the right places, even if it is English, has led to a lot of trouble in the past. One word means something in one country, and if our tags are not put correctly within our systems, that word means something offensive in a different country. So keeping this in mind, so localization and cultural considerations is something which we invest a lot in, especially with global campaigns, to make our product very, very relevant. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much. I think we can connect later on. I'll get your credentials from ma'am. That was
Absolutely.
really a very nice session, Srijan. Thank you once again.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So we also have our dean with us, Dr. Shailashri Haridas. Hi, ma'am, if you're there. Yeah, ma'am is there. I can see her. Fine. Let me give her a call.
Sure.
Yeah. Yes, we can go ahead with Shreya.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think this has to be one of the best sessions that we've had. We have a lot of guest speakers coming in as speakers, but this, I think, meant a lot like a mentoring session to us. So, a lot of our students know how to deal with setbacks. A lot of our students also know how to deal with abroad opportunities. So, I think we all know that it isn't impossible. A setback is not something to be scared of. We can always move on. And setback is something I think which pushes us more and motivates more to get back. I think once people reach a point, nobody really talks about the setbacks. They always want to talk about the rosy side of their lives. But it was really nice to hear from you, sir, regarding that. And also, one last question I think I would like to know and help all of us here is that you started off as a lead analyst and now at a CRM role. So, how important is it to upskill ourselves continuously, and what are the courses that you had to do? So, even regarding your abroad opportunities, were there a set of courses through which you were approaching your leads on LinkedIn, or how did it really pan out? Is something that I would like to ask you before I wind up the session.
Yeah, I think that's a two-parter, Shreya, which is a good question. Yes, to upskilling, that needs to be constant. It doesn't matter if you're starting off now or if you are a middle manager or if you're a CEO of a company. If you don't upskill, you perish. That's like the honest truth fact. There is no end game to it, unfortunately. It's not like, you spend 50 years and you're done. That's it. No. Upskilling is a constant evolving process which happens pretty much on a daily basis. I myself learned a great bit amount from this group. I mean, it's great to hear that people are already starting their own companies or starting to explore, which itself is an amazing upskilling opportunity. The second bit is in terms of courses. Um, the unfortunate answer is there is no set guide to this. Like, these are the specific courses which you need to do to get to where you are. No. It all depends on what is it that you find interesting. For me, marketing automation is something I found interesting, and Marketo is a company or a tool which used to have marketing automation as a software. And I spent quite a bit of time bothering my then marketing manager to teach it to me, right? That led me to Salesforce, that led me to Coursera, and that led me to a bunch of courses. And in fact, even now, I spend quite a bit of time on these platforms to learn. So if I were to give you a more quantifiable answer, the two places where I would start exploring is Code Academy and Free Code Camp. So these both are websites where you can explore tons and tons of learning opportunities. They have both free and paid services. Free for both of them is more than enough to try and see what is out there and try and learn. Learn Python, as I said, it's very important. And trust me, don't get scared. Like, at least for me, because I am imagining myself as one of these students. And the minute I hear all these technical terms, I used to back off. But I would say give it the extra bit of time, look into it. It doesn't matter if you don't have an engineering or a science or a technical background, you can still figure it out. So look into these two platforms and start investing your time in learning some of the courses. I'm sure it will lead towards something more meaningful for you in your career journeys.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think being a major in business analytics, Python really resonates with me and a lot of us present here. So thank you so much on that. And formally, I would like to extend a hearty word of thank you to everybody present here. Extremely grateful to our guest speaker, Mr. Srujan Vishwanath, on behalf of the entire fraternity of PES University. Thank you so much again, sir. Also extending our thank you to Dr. Shailashri Haridas, whose leadership is the strength and motivation behind all the endeavors that we undertake at the Department of MBA. Our very own Professor Jayashri, thank you so much, ma'am, for making sure that this session was an extremely successful session. Also, a heartfelt thank you to Divya, ma'am, for her valuable contributions, dedication, and support. Last but not the least, the core team's entire dedication, and also all the participants for participating and being so curious about the entire journey that Mr. Srujan shared with us today. Thank you so much, and it was an extremely enriching session, and we are really grateful again to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Srujan. I mean, thank you for those wonderful inputs given by you, which courses, Python, and you said was Code and Academy, and the other one I just missed it.
Free Code Camp.
Free Code Camp. Okay. Thank you for that input. So whenever you are in India, please do come to, PS. It has changed a lot. It is not the old PS at all. So do come, and we would like to hear more from you and interact more with you.
Absolutely, ma'am. It was indeed my pleasure. As I said, spending time with this current group gives me a lot more energy and hope in terms of how we move forward. So the pleasure was all mine. And yeah, for those of you who could not get the opportunity to ask question, I'm always available on LinkedIn. Drop me a connect, and more than happy to connect there and keep this conversation going. And yeah, thank you for Jayashree ma'am, Divya ma'am, and Shreya for reaching out and making this happen. So yeah, it was a great experience for me too.
Thank you, Srujan. Bye.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone.